Hi, Gabe here from ATEC, and today we're going to be going over EMC Partner's new AVI-LV3. This is a up to level 3 generator for DO160 section 22 and MIL standard CS117. It's a color touchscreen. It's very easy to use. We supply a BT7 Injection Transformer for the cable bundle test, which has a really nice and easy to use verification ports on the front panel. But yeah, let's dive right in to see how we do a test. Now we're going to go over all the different buttons and features on the front panel. And let's start with the color touchscreen. So you can actually use it to click around. You're going to have the start and stop button. You're going to have an adjustment wheel that you could also click into it if you prefer that, or you can use a touchscreen. You have the on-off button. You're going to have a USB port where you could actually save and export test results. You're going to have an external equipment port over here that you could wire an emergency stop and other external equipment. And then you're going to have 4 of these BNC connectors, which you could program different inputs and outputs and triggers. You have a trigger output port. You're going to have the waveform 3 module, which, as you can see here, it has waveform 3 cable, waveform 3 pin, waveform 3 10 megahertz cable bundle injection. Each one of these has a little light, so when you're discharging it, it'll turn red. You could actually swap out certain modules also. And then here you're going to have the output ports for waveform 1 cable, waveform 2 cable, waveform 6 cable, a fuse here, then waveform 4 ground, waveform 4 pin, waveform 5 pin, waveform 4 cable, and waveform 5A cable and ground. So let's look at the rear panel next. Now we're going to take a look at the rear panel. So you're going to have the AC input, which is 100 to 200 volt single phase, an on-off switch, obviously your fans. The interlock connector actually plugs in here, or you could wire an external warning light. And then you have a line, ground, and neutral input connection. And then you're going to have your communication ports, RS-485, USB, Ethernet, and then 2 more BNC inputs and outputs that you could program using the front panel. And with each AVI-LV3, we include the standard set of accessories, which has that BT7 Injection Transformer, as well as several verification cables, accessories, and shunts. So now we're going to go into the different menus in our AVI-LV3. So from here you can see it has waveforms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5A, and 6. Waveform 1 is going to be the current impulse 6.4 by 69 microseconds, and that's a single stroke and multiple stroke. You're going to have waveform 2, which is a voltage impulse at 0.34 by 6.4 microseconds, and that's a single and multiple stroke also. Waveform 3, you're going to have single, multiple stroke, and multiple burst. And we're going to show you a live demonstration of what that waveform looks like here in a second for both the voltage and the current part of the waveform. For waveform 4, we have a voltage impulse of 6.4 by 60 microseconds, and that has a single stroke and a multiple stroke event. And there is a multiple stroke waveform 5A is going to be current 40 by 120 microsecond, single stroke and multiple stroke. And finally, waveform 6 is a current impulse of 0.25 by 4 microseconds with a multiple burst event. Keep in mind, different impulses are going to have different outputs on the generator. For example, waveform 3 is going to have its 1 megahertz cable test here, its 1 megahertz pin injection there, and the 10 megahertz cable bundle injection over here. And waveform 1 is going to be down here for cable, waveform 2 for cable, and waveform 6 for cable. And then you're going to have waveform 4 ground injection, waveform 4, and waveform 5A pin injections, and waveform 4 cable, and waveform 5 alpha cable and ground injection. So for our example today, we're going to go into waveform 3, And waveform 3, you can select either the 1 megahertz or the 10 megahertz speed. For our example today, we're going to just be using the 1 megahertz. And from here, you can see the single stroke, multiple stroke, or multiple burst modes within the generator. So for our demonstration, I'm just going to select the single stroke. And now the coupling type is very important. Right now I have it set for cable induction, and it actually shows you which output port is going to be connected there. But if you switch to pin injection, it's going to show you where to connect the pin injection to, and whether it's a single stroke and all that good stuff. But I'm going to just switch it back to cable induction, and my coupling device is the CN-BT7. So I'm going to go back, and now I'm going to select the level. So within the generator, I could select the level on this particular waveform in this induction method from 10 volts up to 1900 volts. But for my demonstration today, I'm going to keep it at 100 volts. And I could change the polarity from positive to negative, and I'll actually update the display there. You could change the level ramps to increase or decrease the voltage. And you can also alternate the polarity, which I'm going to take off here. Next, I'm going to do the timing menu, and I'm going to select the number of impulses I'm going to have the generator output up here, from 1 to a very large number. What's the repetition? So from half a second to 60 seconds, and where the trigger is manual, external, or automatic. And now once I have all this set, this green button is going to actually have me output the waveform. But first I'm going to connect an SHV cable to my BT7 probe. So I'm going to grab my cable now. Then when I'm ready to impulse, I'm going to hit the green button. So I just set my AVI-LV3 to output 100 volts for waveform 3 single stroke. So as you can see here, my scope just caught it. And now keep in mind, this is an open voltage test, and at 50 volts per deviation, this is about 102, 103 volts, so that's just about where I expect it to be. And I have my differential probe connected to the monitor 2 port on my BT7 current injection probe. But just keep in mind you want to follow these test diagrams so you know where to hook everything up to. So now let's go towards the short circuit part of this test by now using the shunt adapter on the monitor 1 port. Now for this next test, we're going to do the short circuit waveform 3, and we're using the shunt, which is connected to the monitor 1 port on our BT7 current injection probe, and I have that connected to our oscilloscope channel 1. So I hit play, and I should see the single stroke right now for the current waveform. And there it is.